Ray Richardson.
Today's generation of baseball players and fans didn't have the opportunity to see Willie Mays play in person. He retired in 1973. All they have are video highlights of his spectacular 24-year career. It doesn't change the fact that Willie Mays is the greatest player in Major League Baseball history. Willie Mays, known as the Say Hey Kid, passed away Tuesday night. The baseball icon was 93. Mays played with a combination of power, speed, and defense that may never be matched. Mays was a 24-time All-Star, a 12-time Gold Glove winner as a center fielder, and was voted National League MVP twice with the San Francisco Giants. In the 8th inning of Game 1 in the 1954 World Series, running toward the center field wall with his back to the infield, Mays made the most famous catch in baseball history when he tracked down a deep drive off the bat of Cleveland's Vic Wertz. Look it up on YouTube. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
KBLA Talk 1580 is the fastest growing talk radio station in Southern California. Home to 50,000 watts and an audience reach of 12 million listeners. KBLA Talk 1580 is a pioneer for Black audio content, including our groundbreaking $2 million climate justice campaign and the most loyal, influential audience. According to an independent research study by the polling firm Aviterus, for the second consecutive year, KBLA Talk 1580 is the most trustworthy, reliable, and credible news source for Black audiences and beyond in Southern California. Let KBLA Talk 1580 power your advertising dollars. Our omni-channel custom marketing solutions are specifically tailored to connect with your ideal target audience. We leverage audio, podcasts, streaming, digital, social media, and local activations to get your message out to the Black community. Get in touch with our advertising team today at advertising@KBLA1580.com. That's advertising@KBLA1580.com. KBLA 1580. We've got you Black.
Put your pants up. Say it loud. Say it loud. Look here. Some people say we got a lot of malice. Some say it's a lot of nerve. But I say we won't quit moving until we get what we deserve. We've been buked and we've been scorned. We've been treated bad, talked about as sure as you born. But just as sure as it takes 2 eyes to make a pair, brother, we can't quit until we get our share. Say it loud. Say it loud. One more time.
I'm Tavis Smiley, and I'm thrilled to have you hanging out with us today on our program as we commemorate, as we celebrate Juneteenth. What an amazing conversation with Dr. Daniel Black in that first hour. I don't know we could have done any better today kicking off this program on Juneteenth than we did with Dr. Daniel Black. I love that Negro. Love him, love him, love him. Again, just a sobering conversation about where we are as a people as we celebrate, as we commemorate Juneteenth. And I thank Dr. Daniel Black for just pouring into us today in that first hour. In this hour, as promised, 2 conversations. On the B side of this hour, we will unpack a bit about our Climate Justice Symposium last night live on C-SPAN. If you missed it, you missed a good one. We returned to C-SPAN last night after some years of being away for one of those all-star panel gatherings of brilliant Black thinkers and thought leaders and opinion makers talking about the issues of the day. The issue last night was climate justice, climate equity, climate resilience. I keep calling it the urgency of now. I believe it is. And that case was made strongly last night by all these experts on the stage. I don't have the C-SPAN schedule in front of me, but I know they're replaying that on across their channels. What they got? C-SPAN's got 3 or 4 channels now. They're replaying the symposium from last night across their channels today on Juneteenth. So I did C-SPAN a favor last night by giving them their own Juneteenth programming for today. I love you, C-SPAN. See what I did for you? So anyway, you can check out that. We'll get the link and get it posted on all of our socials here as quickly as we can. We've not been provided that link as yet by C-SPAN, I suspect because they want to make sure that you see it on their channel first. And I ain't mad at them. They recorded it. But we'll get the link and get it posted on our socials as quickly as we can so you can see the symposium last night on C-SPAN if you missed it. So we'll talk in the second half of this hour about that last night and continue our series of conversations with some amazing experts about climate care and racial equity, that part on the backside of this hour. We commenced this hour, though, with this. The Surgeon General has issued a warning about children and social media and has called for a warning label on social media platforms. We will talk about it right now with family physician Dr. Bernadette Anderson, who I'm pleased to have on this program. Dr. Anderson, how are you today on this Juneteenth?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me.
Ooh, I get a hollow sound in that room. We'll put some bass in that. Come on, bass that out and make that room sound a little less hollow for me. But we can hear you though. We can hear you. Let me just jump right in and make the most of our time. I don't know that I saw this coming. It is always fascinating for me when the Surgeon General makes a bold move. And when they make a bold move, it turns into a major conversation piece, and this is a major conversation piece. The Surgeon General, again, issuing a warning about children and social media, but then taking a step further. He's not the first person to express concern about the access that kids have to social media, but he has gone a step further and called for a warning label on social media platforms. You, again, are a family physician. What were your thoughts when you saw that breaking news?
Well, listen, to be honest, Tavis, I was very excited about the Surgeon General's recommendations because we know that social media has some great benefits, but we also know that it can have some harming effects on children and adults as well. I mean, children and adolescents are spending so much time on social media, and this is really at a time for critical brain development, and they're getting on social media, their sleep is being compromised on social media. And so we need to put some parameters around this so that our children stay safe as well as receive the benefits of social media.
And if I said to you, just playing devil's advocate, that train has already left the station everywhere I go, and I get concerned about this. We just had Dr. Daniel Black on. He made a powerful point about some sobering points about the ways in which we raise our children. And he challenged us to rethink some of the assumptions that we have. He challenged us to expand our inventory of ideas about the way we parent our kids in this particular age. I raise that because everywhere I go, I see parents who will give their kids a computer, hand them a laptop, give them the phone, so those kids can be occupied while they're doing whatever they're doing. So in some ways, it seems to me that kids accessing social media on all these smart devices, that train has left the station. Here comes the Surgeon General now saying that we need to put labels on these things. I'm not sure. I'm not sure that I hear the argument, and I'm not saying he's wrong about it. I'm just saying I think it may be. I don't want to say it's too late, but I'm thinking that. What do you think?
No, I don't think it's too late. I think it's really necessary. We have to pull the train back to the station, as you just said. Here's the thing. I'm seeing children dealing with depression and anxiety. You know, they're constantly comparing themselves to what they see on social media. They're not able to distinguish what's real and not real, what is not real. So they're constantly in this comparison, constantly comparing themselves to what they think may be real, and then they come to my office with anxiety, depression, and all these other mental health concerns. We must, as parents, we must, as healthcare providers, figure out how to pull the train back into the station.
Just getting started in this conversation with Dr. Bernadette Anderson, who's our guest in this half hour. The Surgeon General, in case you've just tuned in, has issued a warning about children and social media, called for a warning label on social media platforms. More on that when we come forward. And also June is a busy month. June is also Men's Health Month. We'll talk about that as well when we come forward on Tavis Smiley.
You're listening to Tavis Smiley. Ranked number 45 on the Heavy 100 list of the 100 most important radio talk show hosts in America.
If you've not been feeling yourself lately, if your weight loss dreams have turned into weight gain nightmares, maybe now is the time to stop chasing those 20 pounds you've been chasing for 20 years by trying something called D-Herbs. D-Herbs is a full-body cleanse. It's a natural cleansing regimen that can help you lose 20 pounds in just 20 days. The full-body cleanse will also boost your immune system and improve your digestion. Summer is here, and now is the best time to stop chasing those 20 pounds and propel yourself into a healthier lifestyle. So, how about rebooting your system and losing weight by going to dherbs.com and ordering your full body cleanse or calling 866-434-3727. If you mention Tavis at checkout, they will give you a discount. dherbs.com. Experience healing.
Make a move into a home of your own. With City National Bank's Ladder Up Home Loan Grant, you could receive up to $20,000 that you never need to pay back. Use it toward your down payment, save on closing costs, or to buy down your mortgage rate. Find out more at cnb.com/ladderuphome. City National, here for every stage of the journey. Property must be in a qualifying market in California, New York, or New Jersey. Additional terms and conditions apply. Not all applicants will qualify. Terms are subject to change without notice. City National Bank is an equal housing lender. Member FDIC. NMLS number 536994.
History in the making. Come visit the Get Me Expo, June 22nd, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. in Compton, California. The first ever lowrider, custom cars, and bikes manufacturing expo. Come learn the economics behind these multi-billion-dollar industries. Hosted by legendary car builder T.J. Lofton. Panel discussions from car parts to health. Come network. Tickets and vendors go to getmeexpo.com. GITME expo.com. Become a sponsor. Great vibe. Getmeexpo.com. See you there.
Girl, I have a secret. When I get stressed out, I get sweaty. That's why I use Secret Clinical Antiperspirant. It's like my own secret weapon. For 72 hours, I get Secret's strongest protection against sweat caused by stress, heat, and activity, because you know how crazy life can get. Plus, it's made with advanced odor fighters that don't just cover up smelliness. They help prevent it from happening in the first place. Believe me, if I weren't wearing Secret, I'd be a hot, smelly mess. Thankfully, Secret works.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580 believes in community empowerment. LA's 99 neighborhood councils form the grassroots level of the Los Angeles city government. The system was created to connect LA's diverse communities to City Hall. While neighborhood council board members are volunteers, they are also public officials elected to office by the members of their community. Neighborhood councils advocate on issues like homelessness, housing, land use, emergency preparedness, public safety, parks, transportation, and sustainability. They also provide local expertise on the delivery of city services to their various communities. Neighborhood councils are open to participation by anyone who is a part of the fabric of daily life in said community. This includes those who live, work, or own property or a business. If you are interested in stepping up to join your local neighborhood council, visit www.empowerla.org. That's empowerla.org. It's time to think globally, but act locally. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
Follow the leader.
KBLA Talk 1580.
Follow the leader.
If you're not following KBLA Talk 1580 on all of our socials, then you're missing out. Download our app and find us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and on the web at KBLA 1580.
That's right.
Again, you can find all of our socials at KBLA 1580.
We've got a lot to talk about.
By the way, if you miss any of our weekday shows in real time, you can always catch up by checking out the podcast of your favorite shows at your leisure. At KBLA Talk 1580, we've got your black.
Follow the leader. Oh my God. Follow the leader. Follow the leader. Follow the leader. Follow the leader. Follow the leader.
So you just used bug spray in your home. Now what? Well, between the waiting and waiting for things to dry up and keeping your family away from the mess, it hits you. You could have used Zevo. Unlike other bug sprays that stick around, Zevo goes from kill to clean in seconds. Plus, it's safe for use around people and pets when used as directed. Zevo, people-friendly, bug-deadly.
If we're the ones disproportionately impacted by these climate catastrophes, why should we be silent? Turning up the volume all year long on the climate conversation for KBLA Talk 1580. Made fresh daily in Leimert Park, Los Angeles, California. You're listening to Tavis Smiley.
Continue with the best of James Brown as we commemorate Juneteenth today. June is Black Music Month, as you well know, and every day during the month of June we choose a different artist of the day and play the best of their music. It's impossible to do with The Godfather. So many hits, so little time. But we weave in and out of these conversations today, all 3 hours of our show with some of the best of The Godfather of Soul, James Brown, as we celebrate again the artistic genius of so many black gifteds in this month of June. Love hearing James Brown today on this program. We continue our dialogue now with Dr. Bernadette Anderson. We've been talking about, and I got a few other questions I want to ask before I move forward. There's some other topics. We've been talking about this recent decision by the Surgeon General to issue a warning about children using social media, and then the Surgeon General went a step further and has called for a warning label on social media platforms. Dr. Bernadette Anderson is a family physician. She agrees with the Surgeon General's call in this regard to put warning labels on these social media platforms. I want to probe that a bit more. You've already teed this up, but let me go a little deeper, though. So give us a better sense of what you see these precious babies being exposed to, courtesy of social media, and what impact it's having on them, which lands many of them oftentimes in your office.
Absolutely. I see them with sleep deprivation. I see them devaluing themselves as a person. And I also see them devaluing in-person time with family and friends because they're stuck on social media comparing themselves to other people. I also see an increase in anxiety, depression, and other mental health disorders. So we know that social media does have a negative impact. However, we also understand that there are some benefits. Look, every kid wants to be in the loop, but we have to put parameters around what that looks like. I think it's the Surgeon General who recommended less than 3 hours is what they saw in the survey.
Mm-hmm. Tell me more about, you've said it a couple of times now, what you have learned talking to these babies, these children, as a physician, about their penchant for comparing themselves to the people and the things that they see on social media. I mentioned earlier, Dr. Daniel Black was on in our first hour today, and we talked about this in the adult realm, that too many of us are obsessed with what we would call the normative white gaze, that we are always comparing ourselves to something that isn't black. And we had a spirited dialogue about that in our first hour, again, in the adult realm. Here we are now talking with you about children, about our babies, and yet they're doing the same things, looking at social media, and for whatever reasons comparing themselves to stuff that they see, stuff that they want, and they end up feeling less than, and as you said, they come to you trying to navigate their way through those feelings. But tell me more about why it is that these babies see stuff and then compare themselves to it.
Well, one of the things is that when you're talking about kids and when you're talking about adolescents, remember, this is at a very, they're at an age where they're very easily impacted. They want to be in the norm. They want to believe that they have everything that they can have, everything that everyone else has. And it's not like that. They're constantly, and they start thinking that what they have is not good enough. And that's when you see problems really develop. You know, success looks different for them because they're comparing themselves to the person on social media. What they had was good enough, but then when they started looking at the person on social media who has more or who they believe has more, then all of a sudden they find themselves depressed, thinking that they're not good enough. And we don't want our children to start at a very young age thinking, I'm not good enough, I'm not worthy. That is an attitude that carries on into adulthood and can have some very damaging impact.
What's the role here in this conversation? What complicity do parents have in this process? You mentioned the Surgeon General suggesting perhaps less than 3 hours that kids should be exposed to social media. That still seems like a pretty significant amount of time to me, but I digress in that regard. But when you talk to these babies, you also talk to their parents. What's your sense of the role that parents have to play? I don't want to say in policing, but that's the word that comes to mind. But certainly taking control and watching over the access their kids have to social media.
Yeah, I think one of the things they have to do is set some parameters in terms of having some tech-free time. Is that when the child gets home, they have to put the technology away. The Surgeon General even suggested an hour before bedtime we stop tech time. But there has to be a time when there is tech-free. The other thing is we have to go back and put the value on in person. I have a young niece, and one of the things that I talk to her about is when she's with me, it's time for conversation, face-to-face conversation, so that we can understand what our kids are thinking and feeling and not just wrapped up into what they're seeing on social media.
What are you saying with regard to the social skills or lack thereof that these kids have, born of all the time they spent basically alone, staring into a screen, looking at some device? What impact is that having, as you see it, as a physician, on their social skills?
Well, one of the things is they don't even know how to engage in a conversation, as they're so used to just hitting buttons and clicking. So being able to have a dialogue, being able to express what they feel, I'm seeing that, they're not able to do that because that's not what you do on social media. You're engaged in a screen. The other thing is, just for kids to be able to express themselves in what their real feelings are has become a big problem because they're not used to having to express that because they, again, are engaged on social media. It is damaging. And also what I see is that, they don't want to do the hard stuff. Back in the day when we would come home and do our homework and do all of that, it's let me get onto social media. And so they're missing things even in their education because they're spending more time on the screen than they are in their books.
What are the long-term challenges, the long-term damages? You just said something a moment ago that got my attention. I want to probe it. What are the long-term consequences of kids who grow up but are unable to express themselves, unable to express their feelings? You put your finger on that, but I want to just, again, get a better understanding of what that means long-term when, because they spend so much time on these devices, because they've not developed their social skills, they don't know how to express themselves, and the danger of that, the consequences of that long-term are what?
Well, from the medical perspective, we deal with more anxiety, okay? We deal with more depression, more increased risk of suicide. Then you start thinking about how are these kids are going to be able to hold jobs because they don't know how to interact with people. So those are some of the things that we're going to see in the long run if we don't get a handle on the screen time now.
Let me pivot right quick. I've got a few minutes left here. As I mentioned earlier, June is a very busy month. A lot going on in the month of June. Juneteenth, Black Music Month, all kinds of issues that we're wrapping our brains around when we get to June every year. And June is also Men's Health Month. And you mentioned suicide a moment ago, and I want to sort of link these things up. The fastest growing group of people in this country, sadly, who are committing suicide at higher rates happen to be young black boys, young black men. I just discussed this on our program some weeks ago. Here we are now in conversation with a family physician named Dr. Bernadette Anderson in June, Men's Health Month, and I'm getting more and more concerned about black men and certainly black boys and this issue of suicide. And it seems now is as good a time as any to talk about it, given that June is Men's Health Month. You raised the issue first, so tell me why it was on your mind and how much it concerns you, this notion of suicide inside of black America relative to black men and certainly black boys.
Absolutely. Mental health is a real crucial concern right now. One of the things that we have to do as a culture is to make mental health something that we talk about. Back in the day, we would always say, Uncle so-and-so is just crazy or weird. But he or she was really having a mental health problem. And what we're doing is when you force someone to sort of suffer in silence, they can only do that for so long, and, that weighs heavily on them. Then they start to think of other options to deal with what's going on with them, be that drugs or alcohol or suicide because they just can't handle it anymore. We have to make it okay to not be okay. And we have to make it okay to have these conversations. You know, one of the things is I noticed that even men who come to my office for an office visit, you know, they sit on the office desk and then they're disengaged. You know, they're there because somebody sent them there. Mm-hmm. But one of the questions that I always ask at the end, are you having anxiety? Are you having depression? And I get the answer, like, what is that? And once I start to explain what it is, they almost always say, yeah, I have experienced that. So making it safe to talk about it. You know, it's not a sign of weakness. Mm-hmm. It's really courage to be able to talk about that.
Yep. My sense is I'm not a physician. You are. I don't even play one on TV or radio. You're a real one. But I get the sense that there's so many things, so many conditions that black people writ large suffer from. But I'm talking now about black men and black boys. So many things that we try to navigate every day that are, in fact, undiagnosed. You just raised that, so I want to come to it right quick. Your thoughts about that, about the things that trouble and travail black men and black boys that just go for too long a period of time undiagnosed.
Absolutely. And again, I go back to saying, because we don't make it safe for them to have discussions. Mm-hmm. You know, they are looked at as weak if they begin to have these discussions. So many of our black men and boys are leaving here because of conditions that are definitely preventable, but we don't make it safe for them to come to the doctor to talk about it. And when they get there, you know, you got to be careful who you're talking to, because when you don't talk to somebody who looks like you, sometimes they don't understand what you're going through. Mm-hmm. And then they begin to label that. So that's the other concern. You know, and having, I think from a physician, for me to open that dialogue is what's most important, not relying on the black man to tell me what his mental health is, but to make that a normal part of a physical exam.
Well, that final point you made is the point, I think. Certainly one of the maybe primary points, which is that it would help if black men, black boys, since we're talking about men's health in the month of June, had more people to go to who look like them. I'm glad you do what you do, but I often wonder how much better off we would be in certain spaces if there were practitioners who look like the consumers, practitioners who look like the customers, practitioners who look like the clients. I think that'd make a huge difference, Dr. Anderson.
I think it does, too, because I think that there's a given that you sort of understand. Mm-hmm. You know, you understand culture. You understand the things that they're experiencing. And it gives them a sense of release because, you know, you can say, listen, I'm not passing judgment. I'm just opening up the opportunity for you to share with me.
Yeah. Dr. Bernadette Anderson is a family physician who I've been pleased to have had on this program to talk about June being Men's Health Month and to talk about this warning by the Surgeon General about children and social media, and more than just a warning. The Surgeon General has now called for a warning label on social media platforms. That conversation, I'm sure, will continue to have legs, and we'll see in the long run whether, like the film industry, social media ends up having to put labels on its content. We shall see. Dr. Anderson, good to have you on. All the best to you. Thank you for your time.
Thank you so much. It was a pleasure talking with you.
Likewise. More of Tavis Smiley when we come forward.
Seeking the truth. Speaking the truth. This is the Tavis Smiley Show.
Paid for by government.com. Did you know the United States Mint has issued a new Morgan silver dollar coin in proof condition for the first time? Not only that, they are also minted in 99.9% pure silver for the first time ever in history. Coin experts are calling this an amazing opportunity for anyone that knows the enduring popularity of Morgans. But you must hurry. Only 400,000 of these legal tender silver dollars were issued. These first ever Morgan silver dollars are brand new with stunning mirror-like finish, minted by the iconic San Francisco Mint. Call now and you're guaranteed a new first ever 99.9% pure silver proof Morgan dollar. To learn more, call 1-800-973-9717. If you order now, you will receive a free coin collector bonus pack, a $25 value, free with every order. Call 1-800-973-9717 now to secure your new Morgan silver dollars before they are gone. That's 1-800-973-9717.
I'm Amber Payton. Here's the latest on the Black Information Network. The departure of Congressman Garrett Graves of Baton Rouge, Louisiana from Capitol Hill will affect two major House committees. The Republican isn't running for re-election this fall ever since his district was redrawn by state legislators who were required to create a second majority black district. The new district favors Democratic candidates. Graves serves on the Transportation and Infrastructure Committee and the Natural Resources Committee. Neither committee has many members from Gulf Coast states, so Louisiana's interests may suffer. A Chicago City Council member plans to use an unusual method to bring attention to increasing crime in the Inglewood neighborhood. 17th Ward Alderman David Moore, who is black, says he will sleep outdoors in a tent until the crime problem in his ward is fixed. The Southside Alderman says his goal is to shut down an open-air drug market that has kept his constituents inside their homes. Just yesterday morning, 7 people were wounded by 2 shooters who opened fire in the neighborhood. That's the latest. I'm Amber Payton on your home for 24/7 News, the Black Information Network, and BINnews.com.
Have a great rest of your night. Over in West LA, watch for stop delays from Centinela Avenue as an accident's on the right shoulder at the 10 East before the 405. An injury accident's been reported on the right shoulder transition to the 60 West of Diamond Bar's 57 North, and heavy traffic continues from Brea Canyon Road. Stall has been cleared from the 710 South in Bell Gardens just before Lawrence Avenue, with a 30-minute backup in recovery from the 60 Pomona Freeway. And in Westminster on the 405 South at Howard Hughes Parkway, 2 right lanes as well as the off-ramp are blocked with a rollover crash, causing stop traffic from Wilshire Boulevard over 40 minutes.
Some people just know the best rate for you is a rate based on you with Allstate, not one based on anyone else. So if you drive safely, you could save money. Good to know. Visit allstate.com or call for a quote today.
Is this the time? This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
Today's generation of baseball players and fans didn't have the opportunity to see Willie Mays play in person. He retired in 1973. All they have are video highlights of his spectacular 24-year career. It doesn't change the fact that Willie Mays is the greatest player in Major League Baseball history. Willie Mays, known as the Say Hey Kid, passed away Tuesday night. The baseball icon was 93. Mays played with a combination of power, speed, and defense that may never be matched. Mays was a 24-time All-Star, a 12-time Gold Glove winner as a center fielder, and was voted National League MVP twice with the San Francisco Giants. In the 8th inning of Game 1 in the 1954 World Series, running toward the center field wall with his back to the infield, Mays made the most famous catch in baseball history when he tracked down a deep drive off the bat of Cleveland's Vic Wertz. Look it up on YouTube. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
KBLA Talk 1580 is the fastest growing talk radio station in Southern California. Home to 50,000 watts and an audience reach of 12 million listeners. KBLA Talk 1580 is a pioneer for black audio content, including our groundbreaking $2 million climate justice campaign and the most loyal, influential audience. According to an independent research study by the polling firm Aviterus, for the second consecutive year, KBLA Talk 1580 is the most trustworthy, reliable, and credible news source for black audiences and beyond in Southern California. Let KBLA Talk 1580 power your advertising dollars. Our omni-channel custom marketing solutions are specifically tailored to connect with your ideal target audience. We leverage audio, podcasts, streaming, digital, social media, and local activations to get your message out to the black community. Get in touch with our advertising team today at advertising@KBLA1580.com. That's advertising at KBLA1580.com. KBLA 1580. We've got your black. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580 believes in community empowerment. LA's 99 neighborhood councils form the grassroots level of the Los Angeles city government. The system was created to connect LA's diverse communities to City Hall. While neighborhood council board members are volunteers, they are also public officials elected to office by the members of their community. Neighborhood councils advocate on issues like homelessness, housing, land use, emergency preparedness, public safety, parks, transportation, and sustainability. They also provide local expertise on the delivery of city services to their various communities. Neighborhood councils are open to participation by anyone who is a part of the fabric of daily life in said community. This includes those who live, work, or own property or a business. If you are interested in stepping up to join your local neighborhood council, visit www.empowerla.org. That's empowerla.org. It's time to think globally, but act locally. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
We've got a lot to talk about.
Are you interested in catching up on all the latest entertainment news, trending topics, and exciting interviews? I got you. Tune in to The Raw Report with Robin Ayers, Monday through Friday, 6 to 7 p.m. I'm your host, Robin Ayers. Join me every weekday with some of the best entertainment contributors in the business as we break down what's going on, who's got next, and what not to miss. Only on The Raw Report with Robin Ayers.
Unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got your black. Let's get back to more of this rich dialogue with Tavis Smiley.
I'm Tavis Smiley. That is the Godfather of Soul, James Brown. We continue weaving in his music, some of the best of it, in this program today, all 3 hours. June is Black Music Month, and every day we choose a different artist whose music we play all 3 hours of our program. And so today we are celebrating the rich tapestry of content from the Godfather of Soul, James Brown, all 3 hours. June, such a great time on this program. We love having the excuse every day, the legitimate excuse to play a lot of great music in and out of these conversations. And so today it's James Brown, and we're glad about it. As promised now, a conversation with Tamara Toles O'Laughlin about what I call the urgency of now, climate justice, climate equity, climate resilience. Let me start by saying thank you to C-SPAN for giving us 3 hours in prime time last night. That's a big deal. 3 hours in prime time. I've done so many things on C-SPAN over the years, but to be in prime time last night for 3 hours with a historic all-star panel talking about these issues, I think is game-changing. We flipped the frame last night because the nation has never seen, until last night, had never seen a stage full of nothing but black folk, black experts, black excellence, black insight about the intersection of these issues and the beloved community, as Dr. King might call it. But we had a dialogue last night. I think that was rich. As I mentioned earlier, C-SPAN, I know, is rebroadcasting that conversation across their channels today, so just check the C-SPAN schedule. But you can tap into that conversation if you don't catch it on C-SPAN later today on the website of my home station in L.A., KBLA1580.com. We're syndicated across the country, of course, and I'm grateful to all the stations that carry us. But on our home station in L.A., KBLA1580.com, if you go there, you can view the symposium in its entirety on the homepage of our website. But again, C-SPAN is rebroadcasting it. I raise that only because it was a moment last night to be in the room, as many were, to be a part of this conversation for the first time ever, again, where the nation saw a bunch of us talking about how these issues impact us on a daily basis. That symposium, though, is just part of a year-long, a 12-month climate justice campaign that we are engaged in. And one of the other pieces of that campaign is that we are having a series of conversations all year long with all kinds of experts of color who are tapped into this issue, who can help us understand why we cannot turn a blind eye to these silent killers, and why those of us who are the victims of these maladies, the victims of these catastrophes, have to be heard in this conversation. And so to that end, we continue the series of conversations even beyond the symposium with Tamara Toles O'Laughlin, who I'm pleased to have on this program. Tamara, how are you today?
I'm well. Thank you so much for asking.
It's good to have you on this program. As I mentioned, we had a great time last night on C-SPAN talking about these issues. But tell me a bit about your environmental work, and we'll jump from there.
So this will be my 26th or so year. I usually date how long I've been in climate by life things, and the McRib came out. The McRib came out the week that I decided that I wanted to do this, and it's been retired more times than Tom Brady, and here I am still working on making sure Black people have access to air, water, and basic things without having to pay twice or with their lives. So I wear a couple of different hats. I'm the CEO and president of the Environmental Grantmakers Association, which is the oldest table of environmental philanthropy. So the folks who resourced the beginning of this work as a intervention and a makeup where government isn't meeting the mandate. Mm-hmm. And I'm also the founder of Climate Critical, which is a global support network for people experiencing burnout after decades in this work who are largely Black women.
Yeah. Two things you just said now that are worth probing. Let me start with this first. This came up last night in our dialogue, this notion of government not always meeting the mandate. We talked about that on the one hand. On the other hand, there were a couple of folks on the stage who, it's politics, I get it, who kept shouting out the Biden-Harris administration for all the money they put on the street that Black folk have access to in this particular space now. So it's not just the maladies, but there are also economic opportunities for African Americans in this moment as well, to not just be consumers, but indeed to be producers. Where's the rub there? Where do you see the dichotomy, again, between, or this distinction between government not meeting the mandate and a conversation that some had last night in this dialogue about all this money now that the Biden people have put on the street? Which is real, which is true, or is it both? Is it neither? You tell me.
So like most juicy questions, the answer is it depends. So I would say that the administration has put a lot of money on the boulevard. Mm-hmm. Whether or not it's on the street is another question. The big mechanisms where this money is moving are not designed to make your life better or my life better tomorrow because we can access it. There are a couple different, let's say this whole project of climate work and reaching our community is like a house. We're talking about a window. Like there's a window where you can get to Black people, but the structure of the house is built on creating a market signal so that people who build businesses, some of whom are us, will be able to build business around doing things for the environment that don't kill us. Mm-hmm. And so the government's job was to try to spark that instinct, and has been replicated poorly in lots of different places. I think it's the idea that the government is handing out money that comes directly to us to solve our problems. That's wildly incorrect. And some of the challenges that we experience is expecting that. Not to mention the fact that like all the money in government wouldn't solve the problems that we have, and all the money that's private wouldn't solve the problems we have. All that money together might get close to it. So there are things that are true in the people who shout out the things that are coming from this administration, which compared to the nobody who tried before Carter is doing something, and the fact that no, it's not reaching people today, but it wasn't designed to. And until we get honest about that, we won't be able to activate each other to do what we could do to get access to resources.
One of the things that troubles me, Tamara, in this conversation, again, this came up last night in our dialogue, is that if government, to use your phrase, doesn't help us meet the mandate, then I don't know how Black folk ever get in the game, much less get caught up. I'm thinking of things, basic things like solar panels. These things are not inexpensive. They're certainly not free. So that if government doesn't help poor people, no matter what color they may be, if government doesn't help those who are most affected by these, crises, these catastrophes, if government doesn't help them meet the mandate, then how do these folk ever become climate resilient, whatever that means?
So the story of solar specifically is pretty challenging, right? Because it was invented here in the U.S. Because the politics weren't right when Jimmy Carter put him on the White House, Ronald Reagan took him off. Mm-hmm. And so if we had started that project when there was an opportunity there would be lots of different levels of business. And since Black people start a ridiculous number of businesses, even today, under any conditions, we are the people starting the most businesses. So there's no universe where we wouldn't be involved in it. But because the politics weren't there to support it, that business went to other markets where people went off, built it, invented things, innovated on it, and came back and are selling it here. So some of the problem is that the politics have gotten in the way of the basic needs that people have to not spend most of their money on electricity.
Right.
So we have let different technologies get eaten up by people who wanted to corner the market, and then they come up with some reasons why we might not want it and get sold away from our own ability to ever be owners and are always customers.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a big problem, and solar is just one example of that.
Tamara Toles O'Laughlin is our guest. She's an environmentalist focused on equity, access, and community. More with her when we come forward on Tavis Smiley.
Hope, agency, dignity. This is Tavis Smiley.
Can you dig it? Come on!
We asked seniors how to prevent Medicare scams.
My best advice, if you get a phone call, do not talk to the person. These people are well-trained. Don't talk to them.
They don't know me. They're just trying to scam me.
Don't be fooled. Hang up. Just hang up.
Never give out your Medicare number.
They're going to get your number to put in a false claim.
If I get a call from someone, I don't pick up the phone. And should I pick up the phone and they ask for information, then I hang up.
How do you detect Medicare fraud?
Just like I check my credit card statements, I check my Medicare statements monthly.
Scammers can get a hold of your number, order medical devices through your account, and you're not even going to know about it if you don't look at your statement.
Check your statement every month. If you get your statement and you see something that you know you did not have done, you report it.
Call your senior Medicare Patrol.
To report Medicare fraud, call the Senior Medicare Patrol at 855-613-7080.
Get ready to play. Join the LA84 Foundation Saturday, June 29th for a free Play-Day block party at 2141 West Adams Boulevard with sports, games, and fun for all ages. With live music, amazing local food, and the spirit of LA's 1984 Summer Olympics celebrating 40 years of impact of the LA84 Foundation. June 29th at LA84's campus in West Adams from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. Register at la84.org. See you at Play-Day.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. Single Moms Planet is a nonprofit organization dedicated to uplifting under-resourced single mom business owners and working mothers nationwide. Single Moms Planet offers comprehensive programs of financial literacy, business development, mentorship, and entrepreneurial training. They provide education, accountability, and hope. Single Moms Planet was founded by model, TV personality, and producer Nefertiri Plessy. Nefertiri felt firsthand the challenges that face single moms as she was raised by a working single mother. She learned that the most disadvantaged group in the United States are single mom families. According to the U.S. Census, 30% live under the poverty line. So she decided to do something about it, along with co-founder Cole Patterson. Their goal is to end the poverty cycle in single mother households through education, opportunity, and networking, providing family and child enrichment programs for under-resourced single-parent families. Single Moms Planet serves over 10,000 single moms and their children each year. Studies show that business development and financial literacy provide a positive environment for children and families, exposing them to new possibilities and opportunities. To attend one of their fun events, make a donation, or get more information, or if you need help as a single mom, please visit singlemomsplanet.org. That's singlemomsplanet.org. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
The City of Los Angeles Civil Rights Department and its Reparations Advisory Commission invites you to join us on LA's Road to Reparations. Join us in person on Juneteenth, Wednesday, June 19th, 10 a.m. at All People Community Center, 822 East 20th Street, Los Angeles, California, 90111, to learn the results of Black Experience Survey, focus groups, and one-on-one interviews, and to learn how you can share your input to develop LA City reparations. For more info, visit laisforeveryone.com today or call 213-978-1845.
climate justice,
climate equity,
climate resilience. By any other name, we demand environmental justice in 2024
and beyond.
We're KBLA Talk 1580, and we don't black down. Sounds different, huh? This is Tavis Smiley.
Tavis Smiley and Tamara Toles O'Laughlin, who is the CEO and president of EGA, Environmental Grantmakers Association. EGA represents over 200 foundations globally, holding approximately $200 billion in assets, giving more than $2 billion annually to environmental causes, which leads me to ask very quickly here, Tamara, watching my time, how does this allow people of color and poor people to help save themselves?
Wow. So we are people who make something out of nothing. We are also people who have been the contract, the deed, the deliverable, and the labor for every transaction that's ever gone on in this country. So one of the reasons why this is an area of my focus is that we have never been in the conversation about economics other than as the vehicle and what other people can bet on. It's time for us to open up the conversation, because as people who are inventors and folks who give inspiration and people who build new things every day, we have to develop language around the resources it takes to win. And by win, I mean survive without being poisoned and without being put in the worst places. So if we don't have language for money, we are being served up by folks who do.
This conversation come up now 3 times today by my count. I'm in the second hour of my program, headed toward the third hour tomorrow, and 3 times now, in a couple different conversations, this issue has come up. It comes up again with you now. So let me ask your take on it, because you just teed it up. This notion of being always perennially consumers and not producers.
Yeah. So I would say that we are producers. The question is, if we don't have the market, then we become consumers in someone else's view of the economy. We do have the power to make things. We not only make things for folks, we inspire others to do so. We have a history of being makers. Before it was cool, before there were whole businesses for it, most of the ideas come from things we built out of nothing. So I don't believe that it's that we are not innovating. It's that because the system that we currently exist in the United States, all of it is predicated on us being chattel, us being slaves, us being labor, and what we get from that being taken from us. So we have to have a systems lens to take back what's ours.
It's Juneteenth. More of our conversation with Tamara Toles O'Laughlin when we come forward on Tavis Smiley.
What's your quarrel with the world? You're listening to Tavis Smiley.
If you're like me, 60 and retired, making ends meet, especially here at the supermarket and drugstore, is tough. I'm so blessed to have found benefitscheckup.org. It's a free and confidential website from the National Council on Aging that connected me to $1,200 a year in programs that help pay for food, medicine, utilities, and more. Maybe it can help you. benefitscheckup.org.
You know where you want to go in life, and City National Bank can help. City National knows the dedication it takes to build your vision for the future into a reality, and our team is here for you. We have a wide range of options to help, from personal savings accounts to interest-bearing money market savings accounts and more, all designed to help you get where you want to go. City National, here for every stage of the journey. Learn more at cnb.com. City National Bank is a subsidiary of Royal Bank of Canada, member FDIC.
I can't believe tax season is here already. Look at all this info I have to enter.
Phil's small accounting firm is growing in numbers.
Why didn't I take that typing class in high school?
A data entry specialist could really help him in a crunch.
I got blisters on my fingers.
Indeed can help him hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. You can schedule and conduct virtual interviews all from your employer dashboard. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
KBLA Talk 1580.
We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA reminds you that when we fight, we win, and we don't black down. LA Community Action Network, or LA CAN, was formed in 1999 when 25 residents of downtown LA came together and acknowledged the problems that existed in their community and made a commitment to do something about those problems, to stand together, organize, and become a force in the community that demands change. Civil rights and preventing the criminalization of poverty are their core projects. In addition, they take on women's rights, the human right to housing, and healthy food access. LA Can also has projects focused on economic development, civic participation, voter engagement, and community media. While downtown LA remains their home base, with a particular emphasis on the Skid Row community, in 2007 they expanded their housing and healthy food access work into South Central Los Angeles. LA Can believes that power for low-income people and people of color is achieved through a large, active, and well-informed member base that utilizes a multitude of methods to advance their messages and goals. If you'd like to join the Los Angeles Community Action Network and organize people to fight back against oppression, please visit cangress.org. That's cangress.org. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
Ready to re-examine your assumptions and expand your inventory of ideas? More of Tavis Smiley coming your way right now.
Tomorrow, Tozo Laughlin, I closed our program last night, our dialogue on C-SPAN, with this question for all the panelists, and I will close my conversation with you with this same question, and that is, given all that we are up against, we talked last night in the dialogue about the difference between optimism and hope. And when there aren't always reasons to be optimistic, we remain prisoners of hope. And the data that we are looking at, what we are facing, I'm sitting in California right now where this program is syndicated from nationally, and the state is on fire, and there's ash all over my car and over everybody's car outside. We're dealing with this in real time, this heat and the fires, et cetera, et cetera. And when you look around and you consider the work that you are doing and what you're up against in the last 2.5 minutes I give to you, how are you sustaining your hope?
I spend time with my people. The sad fact is we are all going to die. Even if we get all this right, the end game is not different. The end game for the earth is a bigger question, but it's about lifetimes. It took hundreds of years to create the problems that we have now. None of us will be alive. If we solve it today, the ways that the future will experience that change are not in our hands. What we have today is our ability to contribute to what those outcomes are going to be. Are we in better relationship with one another? Are we spurring each other on and inspire? Do we create community, which as far as I know is the best teacher we've ever had? It amplifies all the good things and it makes the lessons of the hard things easier to deal with. So in the work of climate, which is really about people and planet, being in better relationship is the only thing I know that's worth doing. Everything else is just passing the time.
You know, the scary part about that, I think you're right about that. I couldn't agree more. The scary part about that is that so many of us, human beings, so many of us can't commit ourselves to do the work and the witness of anything that we aren't going to experience the benefits of in our lifetime. But that's what you're asking us to do. But most of us don't sign up for that.
We do anyway. Like whatever we do, we signing up to affect tomorrow. And I think that that's the thing we haven't grasped, is that by turning our backs on it, deciding it's other people's work, thinking it's luxurious to care about air and water, or that it's too much politics to get involved in it, all of that shapes the future. So I feel like what we need to do is have a little bit of space. I have never seen my community fail to respond. As a Black woman, I've never seen my community fail to respond to a problem or a request or a need. In fact, they're the only people I know who ever woken up and responded to it right away. So the question is, are we speaking climate to our people in terms of what it does today about tomorrow?
She is Tamara Toles O'Laughlin. She leads the Environmental Grantmakers Association, EGA, as its CEO and president. She's also the founder of Climate Critical, a visionary new organization supporting the development of the next generation of climate leaders. And I celebrate the work and witness of Tamara Toles O'Laughlin, and have been delighted to have had her on this program for these minutes. Tamara, thank you. We'll do it again somewhere down the road, I hope. All the best to you, and happy Juneteenth.
I look forward to it. Thank you.
More of Tavis Smiley when we come forward.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
I'm Amber Payton. Here's the latest on the Black Information Network. The departure of Congressman Garrett Graves of Baton Rouge, Louisiana from Capitol Hill will affect two major House committees. The Republican isn't running for re-election this fall ever since his district was redrawn by state legislators who were required to create a second majority black district. The new district favors Democratic candidates. Graves serves on the Transportation and Infrastructure Committee and the Natural Resources Committee. Neither committee has many members from Gulf Coast states, so Louisiana